Exposed. The unexpected truth after 25 years, my amazing response left him speechless. Emily Connors felt the weight of the world on her shoulders as she sifted through the dusty remnants of her late mother's attic. The rain pounded against the roof, a relentless rhythm that mirrored the turmoil swirling in her mind. Each scrap of paper she stumbled upon whispered memories of her mother's love and sacrifices. But beneath those sentiments lay an envelope that would unravel everything she thought she knew about family and her own worth. Inside, the words leapt out at her. A ranch had been left to her by her estranged father, a man she hadn't seen since he'd walked out when she was just a child. The sensation was electric, both exhilarating and infuriating. It ignited an anger deep within years of abandonment and resentment battling against an unexpected thrill. How could he leave her a ranch now? What made him think he had the right? Caught between the excitement of a new beginning and the bitterness of old wounds, Emily's heart raced. She had always been the dutiful teacher, nurturing young minds to grow, all the while feeling like a seed in the shadow of a giant tree never measured against her full potential. Now she faced the possibility of stepping out from behind that shadow, but could she? Could she honor the legacy of a man who had abandoned her? As whispers of doubt crept in, Emily clutched the envelope tighter. If she accepted the ranch, would it lock her into a path laden with her father's ghosts, or could it set her free? She needed to decide. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. As the days grew shorter, Emily noticed shadows creeping not only within but also around her. Mark Jones, her childhood rival, reappeared like a vulture swooping down, confident and polished, no longer that self-assured kid slinging insults in the schoolyard. Now, he wore suits, circulated with influence, and eyed the ranch she was grappling to acknowledge. His mocking tone cut sharper than the claws of nostalgia, branding her dreams as foolish attachments to a past that was better left buried. You really think that place means anything, Em? It's just old dirt, he sneered. Every taunt echoed through her mind. Did she truly believe she belonged to this legacy, or was Mark right? The weight of her identity felt fragile, like the glass of a kaleidoscope, shifting under a kaleidoscope of doubts. Her fingers trembled as she replayed his words over and over. They haunted her. If she gave in and sold, would she be caving to the echoes of a childhood spattered with hurt? Or was she simply sensibly returning to a life where teaching and surviving her son's mounting expenses was enough? With inertia bearing down on her, Emily felt the tension rising. She deliberated whether she could turn the whispers into shouts. The possibility of confronting everything her childhood, her father, Mark, made her stomach churn. There she stood, once invisible against the backdrop of a small town, on the precipice of self-discovery. Would she have the courage to redefine her own narrative, battle those long-buried fears, and, for once, let her voice command attention? With her son looking to her for strength, she knew she couldn't falter. Her story was not just hers anymore, it was Jake's too. Every second counting down to that confrontation with Mark felt more charged. Something had to give. As the clouds rolled overhead, it was clear that she was fighting for more than just a ranch. She was fighting for her soul's rescue. Emily was standing at the edge of her own indecision. The ranch was not just a piece of land. It represented what she longed for: a connection, a purpose, and yet, each time she envisioned herself there, it seemed to taunt her with every memory she had been trying to bury. The corners of her small apartment, filled with school supplies and the remnants of lesson plans, felt like they were closing in on her. It was not just Mark's words that haunted her. It was a sense of unworthiness that echoed louder than any insult. How could she step into a legacy that felt undeserved? Long years in the classroom had allowed her to nurture, guide, and empower others. But when it came to her own life, She felt like an imposter. That evening, as Jake dashed through the living room, spraying laughter like sunlight through rain, Emily felt a flicker of determination. Watching him, a spark ignited the strength of a mother's heart and the raw courage of wanting a better legacy for her son. She envisioned Jake, running wild over that vast expanse of land, free from fear and uncertainty. Could she really let him experience a life she had only ever dreamed of? A plan began taking shape. She needed to confront Mark, to assert herself and reclaim her narrative no matter how daunting that seemed. He had transformed from a dim echo of playground rivalry into an intimidating presence, but it was time to change the story. That confrontation was not simply about the ranch. It represented a transformation, an assertion of her identity. If he believed that a few words could sink her resolve, he was gravely mistaken. The next day, Emily walked through her town, each step a reaffirmation of her decision. She could hear the whispers of people most supportive, some doubtful, all aware of the ranch situation. No matter their sentiments, this choice belonged to her. Every old acquaintance, every friend, and foe reminded her that this was about more than just proving Mark wrong. It was an opportunity to stake her claim on her own life. When she reached the cafe, the familiar aroma of roasted coffee beans made her heart lift with nostalgia. She sat at a small table, her fingers drumming on the wood as she absorbed the bustling surroundings. It was here, among students studying and friends catching up, that she found solace and a sense of community. Yet as much as this cafe was a safe haven, she could not stay cocooned within its walls any longer. She glanced at her phone, contemplating whether to summon up the courage to call Mark and set the meeting. Just then, a text appeared on her screen, an unexpected invitation for dinner at a local bar from her mother's old friend, a rancher himself. She hesitated, her fingers hovering above the screen. This could be a chance to understand the ranch better, to gain insight, but was it wise to involve herself with someone connected to her father? Decision made, she typed back. If she was to embrace this legacy, she needed all the information she could gather. This meeting could amplify her preparation and maybe, just maybe, offer a clearer understanding of the land, its potential, and, more importantly, her role within this inheritance. The bar was not far, its neon facade illuminating the dusk like a beacon for Emily's future. She stepped inside, ready to take on the storm. The weight on her shoulders felt lighter. Clarity was slowly replacing doubt. As the door swung closed behind her, she couldn't shake the feeling that this meeting would change everything. But what new revelations awaited her as she faced the ghosts of her past, and how would they guide her in standing up against Mark's looming threat? As Emily made her way to the far end of the bar, a wash of warm light flickered off the wooden surfaces, contrasting sharply with the cool, shaded corners where memories lingered. Each step took her closer to the table where she would meet a man who had known her father, a figure from a life she had always felt estranged from. She settled into the chair across from Sam, the rancher, whose face held the lines of experience and a wisdom born out of connection to the land. The small talk began effortlessly, a charming distraction from her swirling thoughts. Yet beneath her composed exterior, anxiety gnawed at her. She was questioning not just the legacy of the ranch, but her very place in this tangled lineage. Sam spoke animatedly about the ranch's history, recounting stories that seemed laden with echoes of her father. With every anecdote, Emily felt the former warmth of familial ties, intermingled with the chill of abandonment. That complexity drew her deeper into the heart of her mission. If she was to embrace the ranch, she needed to delve into its legacy, both the beautiful and the painful. But as Sam continued, he unwittingly peeled back layers of her internal struggle. It was an accidental revelation when he mentioned the ranch's future, particularly its potential to usher in new life and opportunities. "It's all about the legacy you want to create with it," he said, tapping his fingers on the table, matching the rhythm of her heart. It wasn't until that very moment Emily realized it wasn't just about reclaiming her father's heritage. It was about shaping her own. Sipping her drink, she felt a swell of determination washing over her. For so many years, she had been boxed in by fears and the ghosts of expectations. Now, sitting under the softly glowing bar lights, she could see fragments of a future that was hers for the taking. This wasn't merely an inheritance of land. It could be a chance to craft a life for Jake that resonated with the joy and freedom she had often yearned for. In that moment, clarity struck. Mark's words resurfaced in her mind, but instead of paralyzing her, they provided fuel. She wasn't here to be a shadow of her father, or defined by Mark's dismissive arrogance. This was a chance to become an architect of her own destiny. "Can I ask you something, Sam?" The question felt heavy yet liberating on her tongue. What did my father want for the ranch? What dreams did he have? Sam paused, his eyes searching hers for sincerity. He wanted it to thrive, not just as a plot of land, but as a place where family roots could deepen. He believed in potential, Emily. In people, he said, and her heart aligned with the truth of his words. It became clear that she had to confront Mark. This was more than just reclaiming the ranch. It was about embracing her identity. She would no longer allow doubt to dictate her decisions. Suddenly, a plan shaped itself in her mind, crystallizing into an actionable course. After their conversation, Emily left the bar with a flicker of confidence igniting her steps. She could almost picture the ranch now, not as a token of her past, but as a canvas for her future. The bar's doorway felt like an exit from past anxiety into a realm of newly forged possibility. But just as she reached her car, her phone buzzed again, a text from Mark asking to meet sooner than expected. The urgency sent a shiver of apprehension through her. The storm she had been preparing for was now unapologetically imminent, and her confrontation with him loomed large, filled with uncertainties. She took a deep breath, reminded that she was not the same woman who had cowered before Mark's taunts. This time, she would walk into that meeting with a purpose forged from discovery. Her determination surged. This was no longer a battle for land, but a declaration of self. As her fingers tightened around the steering wheel, Emily realized it was time to dismantle the walls he had built around her for so long. She would face him and reclaim her story, but would her newfound resolve withstand the fervor of that confrontation? Or would Mark's tactics force her to rethink everything she now believed? Emily's heart raced as she drove toward the meeting, each mile an exercise in mental preparation. She rehearsed her words, but with each repetition, they felt less like a script and more like a lifeline. This was not just a conversation, it was a reckoning. She could still feel the weight of Sam's words, echoing in her mind, urging her to stand firm against Mark's long shadow. Pulling into the parking lot of the office, the familiar structure loomed ahead, its mundane exterior contrasting sharply with the turmoil inside her. She parked, glancing at the reflection in the rear-view mirror. This was her moment. No longer would she shrink. No longer would she let fear dictate how she presented herself. As she entered the building, the sterile air reinforced the urgency in her chest. The hum of fluorescent lights overhead seemed to taunt her, a constant reminder of the hostility Mark had wielded in their past encounters. In a way, every encounter had been a strategy game, where he had dictated the rules. Today, however, she controlled the board. The waiting area was uncomfortably empty, amplifying the silence. Emily seated herself, legs crossed, a poised figure of deliberate calm, though internally, she was a storm. The seconds stretched into minutes, amplifying her pulse. She had to remember what was at stake. This was about more than a ranch. It was about asserting her identity, reclaiming her narrative. When Mark finally appeared, he walked in with an air of condescension, his confidence radiating through his tailored suit as if it were armor. The moment he laid eyes on her, a flicker of surprise crossed his face, quickly suppressed by his trademark smirk. "Emily," he said, as if testing her name on his tongue. "Mark," she replied, her voice steadier than she felt. "Let us get this over with," he said, sliding into the chair opposite her as if they were merely discussing business rather than her father's legacy. She forced herself not to respond to his dismissive tone, focusing instead on the purpose of this meeting. "Why did you push for this meeting?" she asked, inclined to cut straight to the heart of the matter. It was her turf now, and she wasn't going to dance around it. "I think we both know I'm the one with the plan for the ranch." You're just emotionally tied to it, but it doesn't mean you understand how to make it thrive. His arrogance bubbled to the surface in a provocative challenge, a test of her resolve. Determination bubbled up, fueling her voice. You don't think I'm capable, do you? I've learned more about that ranch in the last week than you ever could understand. It's not merely a financial opportunity, it's about roots, family, and legacy. Just like my father believed. Mark's expression soured slightly, clearly irked at her newfound strength, but undeterred. You have ambition, but ambition isn't enough without strategy. You need to be realistic, Emily. You don't have experience in running this sort of business. That's where you're wrong, she countered, her words cutting through the tension. I may not have your credentials, but I possess something you lack, a connection to this land and a vision for its future that includes everyone, not just profit margins. His eyes narrowed, and for a split second, doubt flickered behind his bravado. The confrontation was escalating, and Emily felt the battle lines drawn with surprising clarity. The ranch needs modernization, not nostalgia, he spat, attempting to reassert his dominance. Modernization doesn't mean abandoning the heart of the ranch, she shot back, emboldened. It means respecting its history, while creating a future that honors it. They paused, the air growing thick with possibility. Emily realized she had crossed a threshold. This was not merely pushback. This was a call to arms her arms. The silence that followed felt electric, laden with tension. Mark's gaze hardened. You're playing a dangerous game, Emily. If you think you can take me on, you'll need more than just good intentions. The challenge hung in the air, vibrant and charged. Emily sensed she was nearing a pivotal moment, one that could define her journey forward. I'm not afraid of you, Mark, she replied, determination lacing her words. My father believed in people, in potential. I want to let a villain rewrite my family's story. Mark opened his mouth to reply, but she could see the gears turning in his mind. Would he dismiss her like he had in the past, or was he beginning to recognize the threat she posed? As she met his gaze, anticipation surged. Emily felt the walls she had once complied with crumbling. Now, standing on the precipice of change, she realized that this was her story, her legacy to forge. What would come next? Would Mark retaliate with ruthless tactics, or could she turn the tide in her favor, transform her vision into a reality that left him out of the narrative entirely? The next steps loomed before her, filled with both promise and peril. But one thing was certain: this was just the beginning of a much larger battle. And as the weight of her resolve fortified her, Emily knew she would not step down easily. This was her legacy at stake, and she was prepared for whatever it would take to reclaim it. The silence that followed Mark's challenge felt like an electric current, and Emily could hardly contain the surge of adrenaline coursing through her veins. This was the moment she had envisioned countless times, yet it felt more real. The stakes were higher, and her resolve had never been sharper. As Mark sat back, his posture a blend of arrogance and irritation, she saw an opening, a crack in the facade he had cultivated for so long. You think you can intimidate me? That I'll simply roll over and give you the ranch? She challenged, her voice unwavering. Her heart raced not with fear, but with the thrill of proving him wrong. Mark smirked, folding his arms across his chest as if to shield himself. Just because you show a little backbone doesn't mean you're ready for this game. I've spent years mastering the intricacies of this industry, while you've only just begun to scratch the surface. Isn't it ironic? Emily replied, shifting her focus to his boasts. You talk about mastery, yet you fail to grasp the essence of what the ranch stands for. It's more than a business. It's my heritage. I will nurture it for what it was meant to be, not merely a profit enterprise. The air between them crackled with unresolved tension, and in that moment of confrontation, Emily felt a flicker of her father's spirit. She could almost hear his voice, guiding her, encouraging her to be brave, to stand her ground. She'd spent too long doubting her capabilities, shadowed by Mark's accumulated experience and assumed dominance. Drawing a deep breath, she continued, I'm not asking to lead out of naivety, Mark. I'm offering a vision that's been lacking: a heart in this business. You've only ever seen the numbers, but what if I told you the future of this ranch depends on more than just spreadsheets and forecasts? That caught him off guard. Emily noted the brief pause in his otherwise rehearsed responses. She leaned in, intensity radiating from her every word. I want to collaborate, not confront. Use your knowledge, and let us create something meaningful together. But it must include respecting this legacy and the families that have called this land home. Mark shifted, a hint of confusion flashing across his face. You really believe I'm going to let you dictate terms? No, she asserted, her confidence igniting. But what I believe is that the ranch stands a better chance in a partnership than in conflict. You'd gain the insight of someone deeply connected to this land, while I gain your understanding of the business landscape. It's a fair exchange. He paused, the tension building. She could see the internal struggle churning within him. Perhaps he hadn't anticipated such an approach from her, an angle that diverted from their typical adversarial dynamic. Are you serious? He finally asked, skeptically arching an eyebrow. Absolutely. Let us turn this into a learning experience, Mark. You guide me in corporate strategy, while I teach you what this ranch truly means. The offer hung palpably in the air. Emily felt the moment teetering between breakthrough and backlash, this gamble resting on the precipice of trust. She would either lose everything or kick down the door of opportunity, not just for herself, but for the legacy she was determined to uphold. As the tension dragged on, she prepared for either his acceptance or rejection, understanding that this was merely the first act in an ongoing play of wills. Then, unexpectedly, a smirk crept across Mark's face. Well, I must admit, that's an interesting proposition. But if you think I'll go easy on you just because you're trying this new approach, you're mistaken. Emily's stomach twisted, a warning sign that she was entering dangerous territory. I don't want easy, Mark. I want to prove I'm more than what you think. I want to pave a path forward, regardless of your preconceived notions. Mark leaned back again, contemplating her words, and Emily felt an unsettling mix of trepidation and hope. Was this shift in dialogue a sign of his concession, or just a temporary diversion from the animosity they both knew? As Emily braced for his response, every second stretching into eternity, she realized the stakes had risen higher than she thought possible. It was no longer just about the ranch, it was about her reclaiming her place in the world. It was about proving to herself that she could stand up to power, even when it manifested in a form she had long feared. With their fates now intertwined, the next move could determine the trajectory of everything she held dear. What would he say? Would Mark accept her ambitious proposal, or would skepticism send them spiraling back into conflict? Mark finally broke the silence with a low chuckle, his eyes narrowing with renewed intensity. You think you can just waltz in here, challenge my authority, and everything will magically fall into place? You're confident, I'll give you that. But trust me, corporate strategy is not some quaint little game you can learn in a day or with a few earnest speeches. The tension thickened, and Emily felt her heart race. Each challenge he presented was both a hurdle and a tool. She understood that Mark's skepticism stemmed from years of dealing with self-assured novices who failed to grasp the complexities of his world. She needed to turn his disbelief into inspiration. I'm not just a bent rookie looking for an easy way out, she replied, her voice steady. I've spent countless hours studying how businesses thrive. You know, I bring something valuable to the table, Mark. The ranch's emotional investment is something you can't quantify, but can definitely capitalize on. Mark scrutinized her, and for a brief moment, she thought she saw the wheels turning in his mind. Maybe, just maybe, he was beginning to see the merits of her perspective. Fine, he said, finally leaning forward. Let us entertain your proposal on one condition. If at any point I feel like you're wasting my time or lacking the necessary skills, we revert to our previous arrangement. You got that? Relief flooded her, tempered with the realization that this was merely the beginning of a challenging road ahead. I understand and I accept. With those words, a flicker of excitement coursed through her veins. Even if her mentor might be a worthy adversary, she now had the chance to learn from the best. There was an undeniable thrill in shaping her narrative in such an intricate dance. Yet, with that excitement came a chilling awareness of the stakes involved. They spend the next few weeks diving into corporate strategies, financial spreadsheets, and market research. Each meeting pushed Emily further out of her comfort zone. While Mark consistently challenged her ideas, he also revealed vulnerabilities she hadn't anticipated. He wasn't the untouchable titan of industry. Instead, he was a man grappling with the relentless pressures of the market, yearning for validation himself. As their discussions became progressively more intense, Emily found unexpected strengths surfacing within her. Her initial doubts lessened as she uncovered abilities she never knew existed: sharp analytical skills, persuasive communication tactics, and a resilience that was becoming her hallmark. The learning curve was steep, but the perspective shift felt invigorating. She was not merely defending the ranch, she was reshaping its very future. However, as the days turned into weeks, Emily noticed the subtle shifts in her own emotions. There were moments of self-doubt that echoed Mark's early criticisms, and visions of failure loomed large. It often felt like she was walking a tightrope between progress and regression, balancing the weight of legacy with her budding ambitions. One evening, after an especially grueling session, she found herself staring out at the sprawling lands, a stunning contrast to her swirling thoughts. The golden horizon reminded her of her father. She thought about his unwavering belief in perseverance, how he would advise her to lean into challenges rather than shy away. Fueling her determination, she resolved not to shy away from any confrontation that may arise, but she also had to face the reality of Mark's relentless tactics. Beneath his mentorship lay a plethora of mind games and competitive jabs that routinely threatened her focus. It was not just business. It was a duel, and she felt increasingly exposed. The more she learned, the more she understood that trust was her greatest weapon, albeit one that put her in a vulnerable position. Realizing she needed to keep her head in the game, she began documenting her insights and feelings. This self-reflection became a sanctuary during the turbulent interactions with Mark. Yet everything shifted once she uncovered something about Mark that rattled her confidence. While reviewing previous records, she stumbled upon a series of troubling decisions he had made regarding the ranch's operations, decisions that were not just questionable, but hinted at a broader agenda. Was it just to protect his corporate interests, or was something deeper at play? The revelation sent a chill down her spine. As she processed this information, she wondered how to confront him without inciting further conflict. The stage was set for a confrontation with a man she had started to see as both a mentor and a rival. Whatever came next could dramatically alter the course of their collaboration and her connection to the ranch. As Emily prepared for this revelation, she felt a surge of determination. The time had come to redefine their dynamic and stake her claim. Would she wield this newfound knowledge with the delicacy it demanded, or risk unraveling the very partnership she had fought so hard to establish? Emily paced her small office, the documents in her hands shaking slightly. They felt heavy with truth and consequences. Each page she had scrutinized carried implications far beyond mere numbers. They represented decisions that could alter the trajectory of the ranch she loved. Mark's past choices hinted at a man who might not be solely driven by profit, but rather one entangled in competing visions, where her legacy could easily get lost in the mix. How would she navigate this labyrinthine relationship of mentor and rival? The power struggle loomed large, yet she refused to falter. For every calculated risk Mark had taken, Emily needed an equal counterbalance to ensure the ranch's values held firm. She had worked tirelessly to earn her place beside him, but now she needed to challenge the very foundation of their collaboration. Taking a deep breath, Emily cleared her mind. She needed to frame her conversation with Mark not only as a confrontation but also as an opportunity for collaboration. She imagined it unfolding like a chess match, a calculated exchange of ideas, where her understanding of emotional investment could pivot the discussion. As the clock ticked closer to their next meeting, she mentally rehearsed her approach. The goal was not accusation, but persuasion, a shared commitment to the ranch's true potential. You can't build something great on shaky ground, she reminded herself. With this in mind, she would set the stage by affirming their common goals before unveiling her findings. When the time finally came, Emily entered the conference room with her heart pounding in rhythm with a ticking clock. Mark was already seated, his eyes affixed to a report. His demeanor was rigid, suggesting he was in full business mode, a stark contrast to the uncertainties swirling in her mind. "Mark," she began, her voice steady but warm. "I've been examining the ranch's operational strategies more deeply, and I want us to align on our shared goals." He looked up, a flicker of intrigue dancing in his gaze.
"Go on."
She launched into her insights, weaving in her understanding of the ranch's emotional ties with the land and its people. Each point she made was an arrow meant to land precisely on the target of shared purpose, framing her findings within the wider narrative of growth and sustainability. However, she knew this wasn't just a discussion about strategy. It was an unveiling. "I also came across some past decisions you made that were concerning," she said, her heart racing as she prepared for his potential backlash. Mark's brow furrowed. "What are you saying?" "Your choices have substantial implications for both the ranch and us," she pressed, keeping her tone even. "They could drive us toward profit losses that we can't afford, emotionally or financially." Silence enveloped the room like a heavy fog as Mark considered her words, his expression unreadable. The air crackled with tension. She could feel her pulse in her throat. The resolve she had harnessed felt fragile, as if a single misstep could send the entire conversation spiraling. Then, after an eternity, he leaned back in his chair. "You've done your homework. I can respect that. Honestly, I want to understand your perspective," she continued, emboldened by his acknowledgement. "But I also need you to understand mine. We can't build a future ignoring the past, especially when it implicates how we see the ranch and everything it stands for." His gaze intensified, revealing layers of intrigue mixed with unguarded fear. Was he grappling with regret or simply considering his next strategic move? She could sense the wheels turning, and for the first time since they began working together, she was on even footing, a position she'd once feared he would never allow. "Let us discuss what's next then," he said finally, his voice low and contemplative. The shift the opening sent a surge of adrenaline coursing through her. Emily realized this was the moment she had been waiting for. The path ahead would demand more than resilience and knowledge. It would require an evolving partnership built on trust, with her voice demanding its rightful place in every decision to come. But as she steeled herself for this new chapter, one pressing question clawed at her mind. What would Mark reveal about his past that could reshape everything she thought she knew? Would the unveiling of deeper motives shift their dynamic yet again, and could their partnership survive the weight of such revelations? Emily took a moment to steady herself after Mark's invitation to continue their discussion. As she prepared to dive deeper into their conversation, she felt the weight of anticipation settle heavily in the air between them. Questions raced through her mind. How much of Mark's history was tied to the ranch that now felt so precarious? What truths might he unveil that could shake the foundation of their collaboration? "Before we chart the way forward," she began cautiously, "I'd like to understand more about the decisions that led us here. The choices you made, what motivated them?" Mark shifted in his seat, his fingers tapping lightly against the table. He seemed caught off guard by her approach, a rare glimmer of vulnerability creeping into his eyes. "You are far more insightful than I anticipated," he replied with a measured calm, but she sensed the internal turmoil beneath. "I've always admired your instincts, Mark. You've built this place into something incredible," she pressed, "but even the best strategies can fail without foresight. If we're to move ahead together, I believe we need complete honesty about our past." His gaze flickered to the window, where the early morning sun bathed the ranch in a golden hue. "It's complicated, Emily. When you love something, especially something as substantial as this ranch, your motives can become clouded. Sometimes you act in ways you believe are necessary, even if they don't align perfectly with the broader vision." She detected traces of regret in his tone, urging her to dive deeper. "Are you saying there were sacrifices made that you regret? Choices that may have put our current plans at risk?" For a moment, he remained silent, lost in thought. Emily held her breath, sensing the weight of the truth that hung in the balance. Finally, he exhaled slowly, as though releasing the burden he had carried alone for far too long. I took calculated risks thinking of profits, thinking I was prioritizing growth for the future. I didn't fully consider how it would impact the emotional fabric of the community that binds us to this land. Emily's heart raced at this unexpected honesty. It was a breakthrough, but it was also laden with the responsibility of her next words. These decisions could threaten our values and ultimately our legacy, she stated gently but firmly. But understanding your approach is essential if we're to unify our vision. Mark met her gaze, and in that moment, Emily saw the flicker of a formidable alliance starting to form. "You're right," he nodded, his voice steadying further. "I can sense that you're ready to lead alongside me. But I'll be honest, some of my choices were made out of fear. Fear of failure. Fear that this place wouldn't thrive without aggressive decisions." Fear can be a powerful motivator, Emily acknowledged, recalling her own struggles to assert herself in a male-dominated environment. But we can transform that fear into a shared commitment to our values, to uphold what the ranch represents. We don't have to sacrifice one for the other. There was a resolute energy growing around their conversation now. With each word exchanged, Emily felt the shift towards a collaborative spirit where both of their voices mattered equally. "What if we take a step back?" Mark suggested. "Revise our plan with fresh eyes. Assess what can be done to harmonize both profitability and integrity." The rush of adrenaline surged through Emily again, but it felt electrifying rather than daunting this time. "Yes, let us lay everything out. We can build deeper connections with the community, forge agreements that respect our past while guiding us into the future." As they began exchanging ideas, a new path started to materialize beneath their feet, one that held the potential for both of their growth and development. Yet, as the conversation turned more fluid and optimistic, there was still something left unsaid, hanging heavily in the air, an uncharted history that could still unravel their newly forged alliance. Would Mark unveil the ultimate truth that could either bring them closer together or pull them apart once again? The answer hung just outside the reach of their conversation, veiled in uncertainty. Emily noticed how Mark's posture changed as the conversation shifted towards potential solutions. His body language remained tense, a neural constriction reflecting what he wasn't openly admitting. Yet, the flicker in his eyes offered a glimpse of hope, a beacon of shared resolve now blooming amid the uncertainty. She felt a surge of courage. They both held the reins to steer the tumultuous situation back on course. "The plan revision has potential," she agreed, leaning forward with renewed vigor. "But let us do more than just surface ideas. How can we genuinely collaborate to reinforce that emotional fabric you mentioned? What steps can we take to bring our community along with us?" "That's the crux of it," Mark said, his voice firming slightly. "I lost perspective on that front. Financial gains overshadowed the more fundamental ties of this land. I wanted assurance and progress, but not at the expense of our essence." Emily mentally cataloged his words, recognizing the importance of reclaiming their authenticity. "Let us consider involving the community directly. Perhaps we could host discussions, workshops, even open days about our vision. It might foster a sense of ownership in both our journey and the ranch itself." As she spoke, a vision began to unfurl in Emily's mind. She envisioned workshops not just as a means of communication, but as critical touchpoints for healing and revitalization, spaces where stories could flow, intertwining the ranch with its people. This commitment wasn't merely a business transaction. It was about weaving the raw threads of their motivations and the community's spirit together to form a resilient tapestry. "An open dialogue," Mark mused, his eyes narrowing in thought. "I can see that. But how do we ensure genuine participation? I've made missteps before. I don't want superficial engagement." "Let us start small," she replied, feeling a rush of ideas forming. "We could use social media to gather insights and feedback. If we ask for their stories, their experiences, and blend that with our plans, create a dialogue, it could ignite something powerful. It would show that we value their input." There was a spark of enthusiasm igniting, but as soon as it flared, a shadow fell across Mark's expression again. "But what if those stories expose deeper grievances? If there are issues I'm unaware of? It could lead to complications." The fear crept back not of failing financially, but of unraveling long-held tensions embedded within the community. But what if those grievances are exactly what we need to address? Emily challenged softly. By listening, we acknowledge the past, and by addressing it, we work toward a sustainable future. That takes courage, yes, but it also fosters trust. Mark paused, his gaze searching the space between them, as if to hold the new dynamic in his hands. Emily felt the gravity of the moment. They stood on the precipice, willing to dive into possibility or retreat into the shadows of unspoken history. Perhaps, he whispered almost to himself, "You're right. Maybe the truth will set us free, whatever that truth may be." Encouragement washed over her, each word inching them closer to understanding. Yet, she couldn't shake an unsettling sensation. His reluctance to disclose all that lay beneath his facade still hung in the air, filling the conversation with an unrelenting tension. There was a truth waiting to surface, a profound revelation about the ranch that could reshape everything they were building. "Let us meet the community halfway," Emily said, stopping short of declaring victory. "But I also need you to be open, Mark, to share the deeper perspectives you've withheld. Because if we're going to face the challenges ahead, we must do so unwaveringly." Mark scrutinized her, the conflict playing across his features. She could sense the storm brewing within, but they had stepped firmly onto a new path, no longer encumbered by fear alone. A shifting dynamic was underway, yet looming above them both was still the unknown and unveiling that could either unite them or tear them apart irrevocably. And as they sat at that table, the future unfurling before them, Emily's heart raced not just with determination but with anticipation. What underlying truths would be unveiled next, and how might they reshape the very foundation of their partnership? The questions hung like the mist over the ranch, thick and laden with the promise of revelation. Would Mark finally reveal the haunting shadow of his past? Emily stepped away from the conference room, a cascade of emotions rushing over her with each step. For the first time, she felt she was not merely a participant in the unfolding drama, but a decisive architect shaping her destiny. As the realities of the prior exchange settled in, Emily understood she had emerged victorious from the confrontation with Mark. Only now, the next chapter of growth loomed ahead. Confidence coursed through her veins. No longer was she a mere shadow trapped in the frail recollections of her father. She had commandeered the narrative, resurrecting the ranch's legacy while weaving her aspirations with its past. Confronting her familial heritage had illuminated a path forward, and even the looming threat of Mark's untold complexities could not eclipse her newfound clarity. Weeks of collaboration unfolded seamlessly, each meeting peeling back layers of insight into corporate strategy. The once rivalry between Mark and Emily transformed into a partnership that thrived on mutual respect. She was not only gaining expertise, but proving her competence in spaces dominated by others. With each financial report and strategic plan they reviewed, Emily demonstrated expertise and emerging authority that she never knew resided within her. The fear of being overshadowed dissipated, replaced by elation as she saw her intuition validate Mark's educational guidance, the golden horizon of the ranch. One evening, the expansive land sprawled before her, and she envisioned Jake running wild amidst its glory. With pride swelling in her heart, she understood this was no longer about compensating for a fractured childhood but generating hope and opportunity for her son. She breathed in deeply, feeling the weight of generations of dreams pouring into her. Their joint proposal emerged from countless discussions, one that articulated a commitment to sustainable practices and profound community engagement. They would host open days, inviting families to share their history with the land and offer their opinions on its future. It was more than just outreach. It was a commitment to acknowledging pain and celebrating roots, and she now stood at the forefront of that transformation as a recognized leader. Yet Mark's past loomed, an unsteady tether to which could easily unravel all their hard work. With determination, she approached him one late afternoon as they reviewed community feedback. "Mark," she said gently, "the time is coming when we need to address everything openly with the community. We can't fear what's buried. It's part of the healing process." Mark hesitated, conflicting emotions streaming across his face. But she sensed his fortitude bolstered by their partnership. "You're right," he admitted, though his voice faltered. "I've waited too long and let my insecurities morph into barriers." With her hand on the outdated documents he reluctantly passed, Emily straightened her posture, inspired by the notion that this moment could alter the ranch's course indefinitely. "We create a unified narrative," she proposed, relentless yet inviting. "I'll share my story, but you must share yours." In the weeks that followed, as Emily and Mark collaborated on their public announcement, she sharpened her resolve further. They crafted their messages carefully, creating a bridge toward reconciliation, both for their own relationship and for the ranch's connection to the community. Finally, the day arrived. With the sun painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Emily stood at the center of the gathered crowd, a mix of familiar faces and strangers. Heart pounding, she took a deep breath and embraced the energy filling the space. "This ranch has roots deeper than we can imagine," she began, her voice steady as she met each gaze before her. "But it's the stories of those who tread upon it that give it life. As we build its future, we must recognize the past." Fear transformed into strength as she called upon her own repressed memories. Her story churned to the surface, the sting of abandonment transforming into a rallying cry for unity. She spoke about trusting the land, the stories that stitched their experiences together, and the vision they could forge collectively. Mark stepped forward, and with a subtle nod of encouragement, shared his own moments of doubt, revealing transparency unprecedented in their community relationships. The air felt electric with shared revelations. It was as if years of individual burdens were lifted, allowing hope to take root in their place. On that day, Emily conquered not just the remnants of a complex past but transformed a legacy once shrouded in abandonment into a foundation of empowerment. As faces illuminated around her, she finally recognized her worth not as her father's daughter, not as Mark's counterpart, but as Emily Connors, the visionary pulling together the aspirations of a community into a resonant future. With tears of exhilaration blurring her vision, she realized that pushing through adversity had solidified her position not just as a custodian of a ranch, but as a pillar of empowerment and transformation, a beacon of hope for her son Jake, ensuring he would inherit not only land but a heritage vibrant with resilience. This is the new chapter of her life, defined by clarity, courage, and celebrated identity, a case study in growth, grit, and the unyielding pursuit of legacy. As they celebrated their shared triumph, she could feel the previous decades of uncertainty dissolve, replaced by a solid foundation of confidence. Emily Connors, once restrained by doubt, had truly become the architect of her destiny. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second to share.